Hey people, so it is Takia the teacher. It's Facts Friday. And today's Facts Friday actually started off as my Wisdom Wednesday post from YouVersion, but because there was so much more there to say, um, a blog wouldn't have done it justice. I said, okay, it's time to just take to the video and go ahead and knock this one out. So today's Facts Friday is courtesy of Matthew 6:14, which, excuse me, let me grab my notes. For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. And so we'll just get right into it. So fact number one, we have all sinned and come short. Nobody's exempt. We all need forgiveness for something from somewhere at some point in time. It is a fact of life. It's going to happen. Number two, or fact number two, due to people's fallacies and thought, people believe that forgiveness is just a matter of you saying a couple of sentences about I'm sorry. If you're good with it, you sprinkle in I apologize. Maybe there's a gift involved, some feel-good statement and a hug, and then as my son says, ta-da, we're all good. And that's not necessarily the case. That's not the case at all in most cases. A lot of times when you walk away from those types of conversations, the person on the other side of said apology in general still might feel some kind of way. The person who has given it may feel better about themselves or about the situation, but the receiver of it is still going to deal with that residual of whatever the event was. And so for them, it's not a ta-da moment. The person giving the apology may think so, but to the receiver, not so much. Fact number three, due to reason number two, forgiveness is now also seen to be as some sort of acceptance for poor behavior, and it's not. Just because you say I'm sorry to me or you apologize to me does not negate the fact that you probably or could have been very terrible to me. You did things that either physically, mentally, or emotionally cause damage or hurt or pain or feelings or whatever the case may be. And so you saying you're sorry doesn't mean that I accept your behavior. It means that I can accept the fact that you have recognized the wrong in it, but it does not mean that I have to accept what you do. And so another part of that is that people will come and ask for forgiveness, but in the course of the forgiveness, the apology is followed by my all favorite, well, I'm sorry, but. Anytime you hear that, understand that whatever is coming is not an apology. It is an explanation of why they feel like they actually don't owe you one. And so, I'm sorry or I apologize is a sentence in and of itself and by itself. It does not have to have a clause with it. It doesn't need a conjunction. It doesn't need any of that. Now, if you want to explain further, then there's a way to go about doing that. But once you say but, you've negated the apology altogether. There's no apology at that point. And so fact number four is the reality. And the reality is that because of these other three things, you now have to let it sit with you that forgiveness is not what you give to the other person. Forgiveness is what you give to yourself. Because facts 2 and 3 become myths. You may not ever actually get that apology from them. You may not ever actually get a sincere one from them. And you have to be able to release whatever it is that has happened for the benefit of yourself. Otherwise, you begin to self-destruct on the inside because you are holding on to and harboring all the negativity and the feelings and the stress and the anxiety and the angst of whatever that situation was. And so then it starts to hold things on you to where you can't really function with other people either, because everything that you do is now seen through this lens of unforgiveness because of that incident. But you now frame the rest of your life based on that or those incidents if they were more than one. So in The very first book that I wrote for She Changed Her Narrative, there is a chapter called Work in Progress. And so at the time that I wrote Work in Progress, I was dealing with a situation that caused me to come face to face with having to forgive someone and still deal with them, but I was not over the situation at all. I wasn't over it. I actually didn't want anything to do with them. I didn't want to deal with any of it. I was completely disinterested in all of it. But because I had chosen the path to live life differently and do life differently, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the situation. I'm like, okay, I already know that any apology coming from them is not really an apology. It's some sort of smooth over. It's some sort of explanation of quote unquote facts as it pertains to them, but they're not really facts. But that's a whole nother topic. And so I had to be okay, number one, with the apology that I wasn't going to get. And then number two, knowing that I wasn't going to get, number one, forgive and release it anyway. And in doing that, it brought about two things. And the most important of those things is that forgiveness does not mean the same level of access still applies. You can forgive people, you can wish them well, you can send them on their way, but it does not in any way mean that you still have to deal with them in certain regards, especially in close relationships. And so if people are constantly doing things that make you feel less than as an individual, that downplay your skills, your abilities, your gifts, and they're doing so in ways that are injurious to yourself and your person and your thoughts about yourself, you can forgive them, but you definitely don't need to keep talking to them. And in today's world, people feel like just because I forgive you, we have to keep sitting down and eat food together. And we don't at all. It's just that simple. It is okay to forgive people and love them from a distance and love them from afar and be a decent person to them from the boundaries that you set. It is okay to set boundaries. Boundaries is not a bad word. Boundaries are intact because some people don't have any. They are off the kilter. They are off the chain. They fly by whatever, do whatever, say whatever, and could care less. When you are dealing with those type of people, it is it is important for you to safeguard yourself because you already know off the gate, they don't have any boundaries at all. Everything goes for them. And everything could literally mean everything. But there's no filter for them. And so because they function and they do life in that way, and you know that you don't, you have to set the things in space and say, hey, that's not okay for me. That's not okay over here. And if we can't come to an agreement on how we can work through things that are not okay for me, even though that's not where you stand in life, then maybe we just don't need to have a relationship at that level. We can speak on the high and by. We can go through the hey, what's ups, how are yous, and keep it moving. But we don't have to do anything more than that. And it's okay. We can be cordial. We can be polite. We can be friendly without being friends. And there is a difference. And so people confuse the fact that, and not realize that friendship actually has levels and layers. It's not a blanket, oh, this is my friend. Now, granted, 5-year-olds in kindergarten, yes, everybody's your friend. Every kid that you meet is your friend because that's the level that you understand friendship. You meet people, y'all smile, you have fun, you play games, they're your friends. Yay, that's what happens. That's when you're 5. When you're 45, 25, 35, even 15, you start to look at things a little bit differently and you meet people and you may connect with them. You may have some things in common, but then you start to see that certain people might only be friends for this area. So I had work friends, I had church friends, I have sorority friends, I have life friends. I have friends in different areas of life because those are my friends for that area and for that thing. And it doesn't mean that some of them don't, go across different categories. It's the fact that I understand that this is the level to which, we are friendly. This is where we live, this is where we reside as far as this relationship goes. Doesn't mean I value it any less, but it's the fact that things are in the perspective. And with forgiveness, you always have to keep the perspective that it is for you. It's you releasing the hurt, releasing the pain, releasing all of the negativity that comes with it. And you may need some work and some help with that. Contact the coach, contact the counselor. There's groups, there's different things and ways you can work that out. There are several books and resources and things that you can use to help you do that. And so, but it's for you. It is your internal compass. It is for you to begin to release those things out so that you can live life abundantly and live your best life that God has planned for you. It has nothing to do with them, because the reality is that out of those 4 facts, 1, 2, and 3, well, no, 1 is true. Everybody's done wrong. 2 and 3 may not ever happen. They may not ever apologize. They might not even care. It could be of no consequence to them at all. They will do wrong by you today and still sleep later on tonight. To move yourself forward, you have to be able to be willing to develop the mindset that it is okay that 1, you may not ever get that apology. It's not coming. Number 2, if you do get it, it's probably not going to be what you think it should be. And then number 3, whether you get it or not, let it all go. Just something to think about on this Facts Friday. Have a good weekend. Have anything to say? Let's talk about it in the comments. Peace.